I'm Minnie Roh. This is a story about a program run by a New Jersey Sikh temple that is feeding the hungry during the pandemic. Now, on the surface, the story may seem like all the other acts of kindness that we've been reporting on since the pandemic began. But what sets this program apart is how it transcends race and religion, touching people beyond a small New Jersey community, and how the simple act of providing a meal has restored faith in humanity for so many. From the outside of this Gurudwara, or Sikh temple, in a quiet New Jersey suburb, you would never have known that for months, volunteers have been cooking up a storm to feed the hungry.
With the pandemic, we were seeing more and more people asking for losing jobs, and you realize that's what's going to end up happening is that they're going to be people who are going to end up with food insecurity.
Harjot Singh Sabharwal is the mastermind behind the food service mission at Sri Guru Singh Sabha in Glen Rock, New Jersey.
It's really hit hard at the middle class, at the people who are not used to asking for stuff. And now they got stuck where they couldn't go to work, they couldn't have an earning, and yet they had to try and make ends meet.
An urgent problem in this country has only grown worse. Even before the pandemic, nearly 14 million households, or over 10% of all U.S. households, experienced food insecurity at some point during 2019. Post-pandemic, that increased increased to 1 in 4 households across America. For the Sikh Food Mission, Sabharwal combined 2 main tenets of his faith.
So we have a word, ikyumkar, which is that it is all one.
And lungar, which means a meal for anyone.
When you help somebody who is hungry, or you help and you do this, what we call seva, which is selfless service, that is almost like a worship that you're doing.
Sikhs typically prepare free meals for their congregants, but when the pandemic restricted all gatherings, including religious ones, no one was left to feed. That's when Sabharwal had the brainstorm to open the kitchen to all who needed a free meal.
The idea here was that let's not judge anyone. Anyone who comes for a meal, come and get a meal. Who are we to know what situation you're in, on what difficulty you've got? I got like this overwhelming, yes, let's do it. Got us in contact with the health department, who then came and did an inspection of the kitchen. They told us some of the changes that we needed to do. We made sure we did those. And then we started.
I'm struggling with my glaucoma.
In the beginning, the mission only provided 160 meals, all vegetarian in accordance with the Sikh faith. It was first come, first served in a drive-through service.
And this is more for oh.
But as word got out, other food pantries and charitable organizations whose kitchens had been sidelined due to the pandemic began to request meals in bulk to feed its constituents. Rather than being a one-way street, what happened next was truly amazing, and it set the mission on its path to making a far-reaching impact.
All these other people started to offer all the donations they were getting. So all the produce that they were getting, they said, hey, I get a box of, let's say I get a box of tomato puree or a can of tomato puree. Now, I can't distribute that among people, but I know if I give it to you guys can make a meal and then distribute it to everyone. And that's what we ended up doing. So we've been at times when we've not had to buy anything, because what's happened is that all of it has come through donations from different places.
By rescuing food that would have otherwise gone to waste, plus monetary donations from the community, Sabharwal says a meal ends up costing just $1 to prepare. This allowed him to scale up the operation. The mission now offers more than 2,500 meals every weekend.
Exactly.
Allison Raphael Tatum is one of the many volunteers who answered the call.
In times of need or in times of stress, people sort of pull into themselves. And instead, these people were opening their arms and saying, you know what, this is a tough time. We happen to have something extra we don't need. Let me give it to you.
Tatum is not Sikh, nor is she Indian. But as an elder in her Presbyterian church, she says the concept of seva, the Sikh word for good deeds, is a familiar one.
Didn't matter to me what religious organization or what organization at all was doing this. The fact was, this was work that needed to be done. Somebody put it together, and I wanted to lend my efforts to it.
Whatever cultural and societal unfamiliarity she may have had initially, she said it quickly evaporated.
It's a hot meal.
It really takes a lot of strength for these people to come forward and say, we need help, we're hungry, I've lost my job, I don't know where I'm going to get my next meal from. And it's very, very moving to be able to answer that call and to see those people be so grateful.
Thank you, my brother.
Since the mission began in March, it has provided over 30,000 hot meals to communities across New Jersey, providing relief to organizations that are also feeding the hungry.
Every day I see more and more people on the street. I stop and give them food, and then whatever I have, I take back to the YMCA.
We fed almost 78,000 people since March, and a big portion of that comes from you guys.
We are so grateful that the Lord has connected us together, so may God bless you.
While these testimonials lift the spirits of the team, Sabawal says he has personally received so much more than he has given, and that his belief in Ikankar, or we are all one, can now never be broken. This food service is just one of many across the country that are feeding the hungry. And as it appears that there is no end in sight for now to the pandemic, Sabawal says he plans to continue this meal service as long as there's a need. I'm Minnie Roh for Asian American Life.